I heard the sounds of crying coming from an abandoned house. I decided to investigate, and when I entered the house, I couldn't hold back the tears at the sight that unfolded before me. I used to wake up every day with a heavy weight on my chest. Even though the sun would shine through the curtains of our small home, its warmth never reached my heart. Ethan, my husband, was already up and getting ready for work. He would say things like, "Erica, you can't do anything right. If you can't even manage the house, how do you expect to take care of Jackson?" His words cut through me like a knife, leaving invisible scars that ran deep. I would lower my head, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill over. In my mind, I'd repeat to myself, "I'm trying, Ethan. I really am. But no matter what I do, it's never enough for you." Living with him felt like I was suffocating, his presence growing heavier each day. It was a never-ending cycle of sadness and despair. He would leave for work without looking back, leaving me behind with Jackson and the endless responsibilities of the house. He often complained, "You can't even make a decent cup of coffee. I could raise Jackson better on my own. He'd be happier without you." Every time he said something like that, it chipped away at whatever confidence I had left as a mother. Jackson was only 6, but those big, scared eyes of his took in everything. One day, he asked me, "Mom, why is Dad always mad at you?" His innocent question hit me like a wave, not understanding the complexities of adult relationships. I smiled through the pain, gently stroking his hair, even though I knew he sensed more than he should have. "I don't know, my love," I told him, my voice catching in my throat. Sometimes adults just can't understand each other. There were nights when Ethan would come home late, usually drunk, and the fighting was inevitable. He'd yell, "You're useless, Erica. You can't do anything right. You can't even keep this family together." I tried so hard to stay calm, to protect Jackson from the storm, but it was getting harder every day. I would plead with him, "Please, Ethan, not in front of Jackson. He doesn't need to see you like this, out of control, again." But by then, the tears were already streaming down my face. And yet, Ethan would continue to hurl his cruel words, making me feel more fragile, more hopeless. "If you were a good mother, this wouldn't be happening. I told you I'd take Jackson and leave. He deserves a better life than this." Those words sent a cold shiver down my spine, a terror I couldn't shake. The thought of losing Jackson was unbearable, yet I felt powerless in the face of Ethan's cold, unyielding decision. Things only got worse from there. Ethan had made up his mind to take Jackson away, and I had neither the strength nor the resources to stop him. He'd say things like, "Erica, you know what's best for him. You're unstable, emotional, and incapable of taking care of our son. You cry at my slightest criticism, you need help. I'm doing this for him." He'd say this in that false tone of concern, all while packing Jackson's bags. He always looked down on me, doubting my abilities as a mother, as a wife. I just stood there quietly, watching him, feeling a piece of my heart crumble with every word he spoke. "He's everything to me, Ethan. Please, don't take him away from me. I'll do better, I promise." I pleaded, the tears finally spilling over in a desperate river of emotion. "But tell me what I'm doing wrong. Your words, they hurt me so deeply, and I don't know how to make you happy anymore." I could barely get the words out between sobs, hoping he'd see my pain. But he just stared at me, his eyes cold, full of disdain. "You had your chance, Erica. It's too late now." That awful day, Ethan took Jackson from our home. "We're moving to another town," he said as he dragged our son out the door. "I don't want to go, Mom. I want to stay with you." Jackson cried, gripping my hand tightly, his big, tear-filled eyes looking up at me. "I know, sweetheart, I know. But it's just for a little while, okay? Mommy loves you so much. I'll fix this, I promise. I'll fix everything as soon as I can. I tried to smile, to reassure him, but inside I was completely shattered. Ethan pried Jackson away, and I watched helplessly as their car disappeared over the horizon. For days after that, I felt like I was drifting through a fog of sadness and loneliness. I wandered through the house, every corner reminding me of Jackson's absence, the emptiness unbearable. Nights were the worst. The silence was deafening, amplifying the pain of him not being there. What am I going to do? How can I survive this pain? I'd lie in our big, cold bed, thinking that over and over, clutching at the memories of happier times with Jackson. But those memories only deepened my sense of loss. I have to find him. I have to bring him back. A new resolve started to grow inside me, but I didn't know where to begin. A week passed after Ethan and Jackson had gone, and I was still drowning in grief. Then, one day, something pulled me out of that darkness. It was faint, barely audible, but it made my heart race. I stood there in the silence of the night, wondering if maybe I was imagining things. Or, was it real? Was I really hearing someone crying? The sound pulled me from my bed, and I found myself walking toward the window, drawn to the strange noise. It was coming from the house next door, a place I always thought was abandoned. But tonight, there was someone. I couldn't make sense of it. That house had been empty for as long as I could remember. Why now? Why would anyone be there? I frowned, trying to wrap my mind around it, but the sound, weak and broken, was unmistakable. It was the sound of suffering. And it broke something inside me. Could it be a child? Maybe someone was hurt, trapped, desperate. I stood there for what felt like hours, my mind racing with questions and fear. The rest of that night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear it again, that faint cry. My thoughts wouldn't let go of the possibility someone could be in real trouble over there. What if it was a child? What if it was someone like my Jackson? I couldn't just ignore it. I had to know. The thought of doing nothing, it tore at me. If it was my child trapped, suffering, I'd never forgive myself for turning away. So, I made a decision, a heavy one, my heart pounding with anxiety. I needed to find out what was happening next door. I had to do something. Even though I knew I needed to rest for the next day, my mind refused to calm down. I kept thinking, I have to help. I can't just leave this. The next morning, I woke with that same thought gnawing at me. I couldn't shake it. Determined, I stepped out, my heart racing in my chest as I approached that old, decrepit house. Is there really someone in there? I needed to find out. My hand hesitated, but I pushed the rusted door, and it creaked open with a haunting groan. The air inside was thick, damp, smelling of decay and neglect. It was suffocating. Who could possibly live in such a place? Fear gripped me, but I kept going, following that faint noise down a dark, narrow hallway. I reached a small room at the back of the house, and as I opened the door, my heart nearly stopped. There, in the corner, I saw something that made my blood run cold. I froze, fear paralyzing me. Jackson. My son, my baby, was there, fragile and locked away like an animal. I ran to him, my voice barely a whisper but filled with every ounce of pain I had. Jackson. Oh, God, Jackson. I collapsed beside him, pulling him into my arms, sobbing as if my heart would shatter into a million pieces. How? How could this have happened? My mind screamed, Ethan. How could you do this? Through my tears, I held Jackson tighter, as if I could protect him from all the pain he'd been through. And then his voice, so small, so broken, said, Mom. I knew you'd come. I knew it. Jackson whispered with a trembling voice. Despair wrapped around me as I scooped him up and ran toward the nearest hospital. Hang in there, my dear child. We'll be there soon. You're going to be okay. I tried to calm myself, but I felt crushed under the weight of fear and anxiety. When we arrived at the hospital, the doctors rushed Jackson into the emergency room, leaving me to wait with a heavy heart. Please, stay safe. Don't let anything else happen. I was battered by a sense of helplessness and despair as I watched over Jackson's treatment. I reached out to the police, ready to expose Ethan's terrible secret. My ex-husband, for reasons I don't understand, hid our son in a rundown building. He's malnourished and needs help. I spoke with a trembling voice, yet a strong resolve filled my words. The officers were taken aback by the situation and promised to start an immediate investigation. We will uncover everything and deliver justice, Ms. Erica. Your ex-husband will not escape this. Officer Scott assured me while jotting down every detail I provided. News of Jackson's rescue quickly spread through the local community, and people began donating to support us. One day, I found a basket of groceries on my doorstep. This is a tragedy. We must show our support. Accompanying the basket was a letter, along with clothes and toys for Jackson. I felt gratitude for their generosity, but my focus remained on Jackson's recovery. Every day, I sat by his side in the hospital, holding his tiny hand. You're strong, my dear child. We'll get through this together. I whispered, feeling a mixture of pain and determination swell within me. Jackson still struggled with the trauma of that experience, often waking from nightmares, screaming in the night. Mom, please don't leave me. I'm scared. His eyes were wide with fear. I hid my own pain as I hugged him tightly. I will never leave you, Jackson. It's going to be all right. I promised, tears silently streaming down my cheeks. While the police continued their investigation, I faced the daunting task of bringing Jackson back to everyday life. He needs therapy. The trauma he experienced won't just go away. Moreover, I thought I needed to uncover why Ethan had locked our son in that house. After consulting with the hospital psychologist, I knew it would be a long road ahead. Yet, I renewed my resolve to do everything I could to help Jackson. We'll get through this together, Jackson. We can do it. As I sat there, I felt the heavy weight of my responsibility to protect and heal my son. Meanwhile, the police began to unravel the chilling details of Ethan's cruel plan. Officer Scott informed me that the house where Jackson was found was in the name of Ethan's new wife, Kendall. He pulled out a photo of Kendall from his pocket and showed it to Jackson. I watched as Jackson, still weak, recognized her immediately. Mom, I saw her. She was with Dad when he locked me in the house, he said, his voice faint yet filled with certainty. Scott continued, his tone resolute. This means she was involved as well. We're going to arrest her, and both of them will pay the price for what they've done. I felt a tumult of relief and anger swirling inside me. Why would anyone do such a thing to an innocent child? How could Ethan do this to his own son? I wrestled with the enormity of the cruelty Jackson had endured. That night, I sat in the hospital, holding Jackson's hand. The visit from the police had unveiled so much, and their revelations lingered in my mind. Kendall, Ethan's new wife. I wondered how she could possibly be involved. Ethan had married her soon after our separation. Had they been together all along? Anger and despair washed over me as these thoughts consumed my mind.
Meanwhile, in a house on the outskirts of town, Ethan and Kendall chatted, blissfully unaware that an investigation was underway. I still can't believe it, Kendall. We did it. Jackson is gone, and Erica can't prove a thing," Ethan said, lounging comfortably on the sofa. Kendall poured 2 glasses of wine, a laugh escaping her lips. "True, Ethan. But let's not get too comfortable. If we make even the slightest mistake, we could get caught," she replied, settling next to him. "I know that. But with Jackson gone, Erica is hanging by a thread. She'll never recover from this." A cruel grin spreading across Ethan's face as he said this. Kendall stared at her wine glass, lost in thought. Locking Jackson away was the only way to break Erica completely. She's always been weak, but without Jackson, she's shattered. "But you did make sure to gag Jackson properly before we left, right?" Kendall asked in a cold, calculated tone. Ethan took a sip of wine, pondering her question. "I forgot that part. I just wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. I didn't want to see my son sitting there, suffering," he said with a satisfied smile, but Kendall's expression clouded with disappointment.
Returning to the hospital, I felt crushed by the weight of new truths. I turned to Officer Scott, desperately needing information. "I want to know what the police are doing. I'm terrified. My son is about to be discharged, and those criminals are still out there." I protested, my heart racing. Scott promised to gather all the necessary evidence and vowed to arrest Ethan and Kendall. "Jackson's testimony is crucial. We will continue the investigation and build a solid case against them." As the police worked diligently to collect evidence, I struggled to rebuild our lives. Jackson battled his trauma, each day a fight against nightmares and unrelenting fear. "Mom, what if they find me again? I don't want to leave the hospital. I don't want to go back to that house. I'm scared." He clung to me, his small frame trembling. "No, my dear. You're safe now. I won't let this happen again," I replied, fighting back tears, trying to hide my own fear and anxiety. I too was grappling with my inner turmoil. I failed my son. I should have been stronger. I should have protected him, I thought as I watched Jackson sleep restlessly. Guilt and pain clung to my heart like a shadow, but I was determined to be strong for Jackson. "We will get through this together. I will do whatever it takes for you to be safe and happy," I promised, my heart heavy but my voice resolute. I knew the fight was far from over, yet I felt myself growing stronger each day. "We can do this, Jackson. We won't let anyone tear our family apart. We can be happy again," I thought, watching Jackson play with toys donated by neighbors. The pain and fear lingered, but I was determined to build a new life for both of us. One sunny afternoon, as Jackson played in the hospital garden, I felt a glimmer of hope. "We've survived the worst, my dear. Now it's just a matter of time before justice is served," I thought, watching Jackson run across the grass. His laughter was like music to my ears, a reminder that although it wasn't over, moments of happiness still existed. Yet, the shadows of Ethan and Kendall loomed heavily over us. I understood that I wouldn't feel completely safe until they were captured. That week, one day, I decided to take Jackson out for a distraction. "How about we go to the park today, Jackson?" I tried to keep a bright attitude as I made the suggestion. "Yeah, Mom, I love the park. Can I bring my new toys?" Jackson had answered, his smile warming my heart. Each of his smiles felt like a little victory, proof that we were on the right path. Yet, I constantly battled an undercurrent of anxiety. What if they weren't caught? What if Ethan plotted something again? Those thoughts haunted me, especially as night fell and shadows lengthened. I clung to Officer Scott's promise that justice would be served. "It's coming soon, Erica. It's really close. They won't get away," he had assured me during his last visit. I wanted to believe him, needed to believe him, but the shadow of uncertainty loomed large and refused to fade. Finally, that night, the long-awaited phone call came. "Erica, we found Ethan. We're getting ready to apprehend him," Scott reported, his voice serious yet tinged with confidence. A wave of relief mixed with terror washed over me. "Please be careful. He's dangerous," I pleaded, my voice trembling with fear. "Don't worry, Erica. I promise we'll handle it," Scott replied before ending the call.
Ethan was hiding in an old colleague's house on the outskirts of town. Kendall's place was no longer safe, so he had sought refuge there. Aware of the police movements, he had grown increasingly suspicious, yet the police were always a step ahead. "Stay inside. Seal off all exits," Scott ordered, and the police team quietly surrounded the house. Inside, Ethan was gripped by anxiety, sensing that something was amiss, but he couldn't pinpoint what it was. "I need to get out of here. This situation is too dangerous." As those thoughts raced through his mind, he began to gather his belongings. But just as he was about to move, a voice froze him in place. "Police! Put your hands up and come out." Scott's voice was commanding and authoritative. For a moment, Ethan was paralyzed, fear overwhelming him. "I've been found. How could this happen?" he thought, his mind racing through his options in this dead-end situation, ultimately deciding to make a last-ditch effort. "I'm not going down without a fight," he whispered, reaching for the weapon he had hidden in the house. But the police were prepared for any situation. Scott and his team moved with precision, blocking off all escape routes. "Ethan, you are surrounded. Come out now," Scott shouted again. The tension in the air was palpable. Ethan knew he didn't stand a chance, yet he attempted to resist. The officers incapacitated him with non-lethal rubber bullets. Kendall learned of Ethan's arrest and disappeared, but not before vowing revenge.
That night, Scott came to the hospital and reported directly to me. "Erica, I did it. Ethan has been caught. He's in custody, and he won't be able to threaten you or Jackson anymore. Kendall is still at large, but you can feel a little safer now." Scott conveyed this with a calm smile, and as those words sank in, tears of relief streamed down my face. "Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it. This means so much to us." My voice cracked with emotion as I spoke. Jackson stood next to me, feeling as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. "Now he can't hurt us anymore, Mom. We're safe now." He hugged me tightly as he spoke. "Yes, my dear. We're safe now," I replied strongly, enveloped in a sense of relief that I hadn't felt in a long time. While I was comforted by the news, I knew the fight wasn't over. Sure, Ethan had been captured, but Kendall was still free. "She's just as dangerous as he is," I thought, gripping Jackson's hand tightly. One day, while checking my voicemail, I froze when I heard Kendall's voice. "I won't let it end like this, Erica. You're going to pay." Her threat sent shivers down my spine. Why can she be so cruel? What else is she planning? I pondered these questions, feeling an overwhelming need to stay vigilant for Jackson's safety. Now that Ethan was behind bars, I focused on helping Jackson adjust to a new life. "We're going to get through this, Jackson. We can be happy again. I promise you." As I said this, I took him to therapy. Jackson was beginning to show signs of improvement, but the nightmares still came frequently. "Mom, why did they do this to me? Are they going to come back?" Jackson confided in me, tears glistening in his eyes. "I know, my dear. But you are so brave. We're working hard so you won't have to be afraid anymore," I reassured him, trying to calm his fears. Anonymous threats from Kendall began coming regularly, in the form of text messages and phone calls. "You're not safe, Erica. I'm watching you. You're going to pay for this." I felt the weight of fear pressing down on me every day, messages creeping into my thoughts, reminding me that she was out there, lurking. "She's trying to scare us," I told myself, "but I won't let her win." Determined, I took steps to bolster our home's security, installing cameras and new locks, each click of the locks echoing my resolve. Support from our community became a pillar of strength for me, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this fight. "I promise, Jackson, we're not alone. So many people are here to help us," I told him, wanting to fill him with a sense of safety. Yet, the nights remained difficult, with Jackson waking from nightmares, trembling in fear. "Mom, I saw them again in my dream. They were trying to take me away," he said, his voice quivering with terror. I wrapped him in a tight embrace, trying to shield him from the nightmares that tormented him. "You're safe now, my dear. I'm right here. No one can hurt you," I reassured him, feeling the weight of responsibility in every word. 2 weeks after the incident, Jackson showed signs of physical recovery, no longer needing to stay in the hospital. "You're getting stronger, my dear. I'm so proud of you," I smiled as I prepared nutritious meals for him. But the psychological scars lingered, and I understood that the road to recovery would be long. Day by day, step by step. "We're going to get through this," I decided, focusing on giving Jackson the best life possible. One sunny afternoon, we ventured to the market, an attempt to reclaim our daily lives, a small act infused with hope for the future. "What do you want for dinner? You can choose something special today," I proposed, wanting to create a moment of joy. Jackson replied with a shy smile, "I love spaghetti, Mom. Can we make spaghetti?" His eyes sparkled with a hint of happiness. My heart swelled with warmth. "Of course, my dear. We'll make a delicious spaghetti together," I responded, feeling a renewed sense of confidence as he took each step forward. As we loaded grocery bags into the car in the parking lot, Jackson suddenly turned pale, yelling out, "Mom, it's her. It's Kendall." I remember the moment vividly when Jackson pointed with a trembling finger. "Mom, look," he exclaimed, fear creeping into his voice. I quickly turned around, and there was Kendall, staring at us from the corner of the parking lot. Before I could react, she bolted away. "Let's go, Jackson. We need to leave here right away," I urged him, trying to hide my panic as I guided him into the car. "It's okay, sweetheart. Let's talk to Officer Scott. He'll help us," I assured him, my heart racing as I drove toward the police station. "She's still chasing us. What is she planning to do next?" The thought filled me with dread, but it transformed into a fierce determination to protect my son. At the police station, I spoke to Officer Scott about our encounter with Kendall. She was right there, watching us. Jackson spotted her first. "We're scared," I explained, gripping Jackson's hand tightly. Scott listened intently, his expression serious. "I'll assign officers to keep an eye on Kendall. She can't hide forever," he promised, instilling a bit of hope within me. Yet, alongside that hope, a flicker of frustration emerged. I had expected more decisive action, but at least something was happening. "There's still anxiety lingering, but we're making progress," I thought to myself, yet I resolved it was too dangerous to return home. "Let's stay at a hotel, Jackson. It's safer than being at home right now," I said, hiding the tremor in my voice. "But what about our house?" "I like our home," Jackson replied, his eyes filled with unease. I hugged him tightly, my heart aching for his distress. "I know, sweetheart. Just for a little while. Hang in there, and we'll go back when it's safe," I said, trying to soothe him. With limited funds, I rented a modest hotel room. It's not a fancy place, but at least it's safe here, I thought, unpacking the few belongings I had brought. Let's try to enjoy this, Jackson. It's like an adventure, isn't it? I encouraged him, hoping to spark a bit of joy amidst the fear. I remembered her trying to turn the situation around with her words. He said it was difficult, but that being together was the most important thing. I thought about that, my heart swelling with resolve to protect and raise my son with all I had. In the hotel, Jackson and I worked hard to create moments together. I suggested we do homework together and then watch a movie. I wanted to reclaim our normalcy, hoping it would ease our fears. Jackson still wore a look of apprehension, yet he nodded in agreement. He said, "Yeah, Mom. I like doing things together." As he held my hand, I felt a spark of hope igniting within me. I thought, let's overcome this together. We're strong. With that in mind, we sat side by side, progressing with our tasks. Yet, the nights in the hotel were particularly challenging. The unfamiliar atmosphere mixed with the looming threat of Kendall made it hard to sleep. "Mom, I'm scared. What if Kendall comes here?" Jackson opened his eyes wide, anxiety evident in his voice. I held him tightly, feeling my own fear welling up as I replied, "It's safe here, Jackson. I promise. Nothing will happen to you while I'm here." I spoke those words, hiding my inner turmoil, trying to comfort him. As I drifted off to sleep, I allowed myself a fleeting moment of vulnerability. I wondered, what was that woman planning? How could I live with this fear? Tears quietly slipped down my cheeks as I pondered those thoughts. I understood I had to be strong, not just for myself, but especially for Jackson. I resolved, I can't let fear win. I'll find a way to get through this. With renewed determination, I felt a sense of purpose stirring within me. The next morning, I rose early, determined to make the best of our situation. "Let's go outside for a walk, Jackson. We'll explore the town and try to have a little fun. We're scared, but Kendall can't do anything in public." I suggested this, hoping to carve out some joy amidst our anxiety. "Can we get ice cream?" Jackson asked, a shy smile creeping onto his face. I returned his smile, feeling a wave of hope wash over me. "Of course, my dear child. Let's make today a special day," she said, her confidence growing. As we walked through the city, I constantly turned to look behind me, checking if anyone was following us. I thought to myself, I needed to be careful. I couldn't afford to be caught off guard. With each step I took, I felt the tension tightening in my chest. But every time I caught a glimpse of Jackson's smile or heard his laughter, my heart began to heal. We will get through this. We will reclaim our peace, I assured myself, solidifying my resolve to fight for a brighter future. I was determined to restore our daily lives for both Jackson and me, but Kendall's relentless threat made that effort feel nearly impossible. Every time I ventured outside, I found myself facing a new trap set by Kendall. I can't believe she's still pursuing us like this, I thought, feeling my anxiety rise. One day, when I went to the pharmacy to buy some headache medicine, I discovered that my car tire was flat, and a threatening note was taped to the windshield. "You're not safe. It's just an illusion. I'm always nearby," it read. She's trying to unsettle me. But I won't give in to fear, I thought, trying to maintain my composure. As I attempted to return to work, the situation worsened. My time off had come to an end, and it was time to go back to the office. I need this job. Jackson and I need stability, especially since I can't rely on Ethan anymore, I reminded myself while preparing to leave the house. But when I arrived at work, I found the office ransacked, and a termination notice lay on my desk. "I'm sorry, Erica. We can't keep you here any longer. There are just too many issues," the letter said, signed by my boss. I felt as if my world was crumbling around me. How am I going to support my son now? Kendall is trying to destroy everything. She's slowly dismantling my life, I thought, fighting back tears.
The police were continuing their investigation, but Kendall was skillfully evading their attention. On a quiet afternoon, Kendall took a further step and broke into Erica's house. She was looking for any clues or opportunities to stir up more chaos. "Where are you?" "Always running away and hiding," Kendall muttered to herself as she rummaged through drawers and overturned shelves. As time passed, her frustration grew. "You can't keep hiding forever." Kendall felt a surge of anger rising within her. But the house was empty. Driven by revenge, Kendall was devising her final plan to attack Erica. "This has to end. I won't let her slip away this time," Kendall thought as she prepared for action.
I prioritized our safety until Kendall was caught, giving up the fight to reclaim our daily lives. We completely changed our lifestyle and decided to stay in a hotel. "I can't take any more risks, Jackson," I said, this while reinforcing the locks and installing even more security cameras. Even though Jackson was still young, he understood the gravity of the situation. He said, "I don't want to worry Mom anymore. Let's do whatever it takes to stay safe." His words resonated deep within me. Days passed by, always filled with a sense of vigilance. I tried to maintain a calm facade for Jackson, but fear never truly left me. "Let's watch a movie," I suggested to Jackson. "We can do something fun without leaving the hotel to take our minds off things." Yet, uncertainty swirled in my heart. Jackson smiled shyly and replied, "Sure, Mom. I like watching movies with you," he answered, holding my hand. In that moment, the warmth of his small hand provided me with solace. Meanwhile, Officer Scott intensified the search for Kendall. He said, "We can't keep going like this. We will find her." As he led the investigation, I found each day without tangible progress felt like torture. I need peace. Jackson deserves a happy childhood free from fear, I thought while gazing at my son. 7 days passed, and there was no sign of Kendall, and the threats had stopped. Unaware of the plan, I began to think we were finally safe. "Let's go to the park, Jackson. Getting some fresh air will lift our spirits," I suggested, trying to appear calm. "Kendall has disappeared, and the police are on her trail, so I think we don't need to worry anymore." At the park, we tried to relax, but Kendall's shadow weighed heavily over us. "Mom, do you think she's still looking for us?" Jackson asked, his voice tinged with anxiety. I took a deep breath, attempting to instill a sense of reassurance. "We're safe now, my dear. The police are on it, and Kendall should have left town by now." I hugged Jackson tightly, my heart pounding like a drum. I thought to myself, I wish this would end soon. If she goes to prison, I could feel safer. But then, out of nowhere, I spotted a familiar figure lurking in the corner of the park. It was Kendall, staring intently at us. "Jackson, we need to leave right now," I said, trying to stay calm as I turned to walk away, but Kendall was already fueled by anger and made her move. "I'm not letting you escape this time, Erica," Kendall shouted, her voice laced with hatred, and she advanced toward me quickly. Jackson sensed the danger and ran toward the nearby bank security guards. "Help! That woman is trying to hurt my mom," he yelled, pointing at Kendall. The guards responded immediately, but Kendall was closing in on me fast. "Erica, you ruined my life. This is it for you," Kendall screamed, getting closer and closer. I felt a rush of fear but forced myself to run, knowing Kendall was fast and determined. "Stop it, Kendall. You don't have to do this. Think about what you're doing," I yelled, hoping she still had some rationality left in her. But Kendall was far beyond any logical thought. "Erica, you messed everything up," she yelled back at me, her rage palpable. Jackson watched, feeling his heart race as he wished he could help. 2 security guards sprinted toward Kendall while another called Officer Scott for backup. When I saw the police were on their way, a flicker of hope ignited inside me. "Just a little longer, Jackson. We're almost there," I thought, striving to maintain my composure amid the chaos. Kendall realized time was running out and pushed herself to get even closer to me. "I'm not letting you go this time," she shouted, but then noticed the guards nearby and hesitated for just a moment. "It's no use, Kendall. Surrender." When I finally saw a security guard push Kendall down to the ground, I felt a rush of relief wash over me. Moments later, the police arrived, quickly subduing Kendall and putting an end to the threat that had loomed over us for so long. I held Jackson's hand tightly, feeling a whirlwind of emotions, relief mixed with lingering fear. I silently wished, "Please, let this be over." As I watched the guards restraining Kendall, I felt as though I was on the brink of reclaiming my safety and peace. In that moment, I knew that as long as Jackson was by my side, I could overcome any challenge that came my way. I whispered softly to him, "We are strong, my dear. Let's get through this together." Just then, Officer Scott arrived with other officers in tow, and I could hear the concern in his voice. He asked if I was okay, and if Jackson was safe. I still trembled slightly but held Jackson's hand tighter as I responded. "I'm fine, Officer Scott. But that woman tried to attack us again, just like she always has." I spoke with a slight tremor in my voice, the fear bubbling just beneath the surface. Scott assured me that Kendall could no longer harm me. He declared that Kendall was under arrest for attempted assault and all her previous crimes, ensuring that she would face the consequences. Later at the police station, I detailed everything to Officer Scott. I told him that as soon as Ethan was arrested, Kendall started threatening us. While we were at the hotel, a neighbor informed us that Kendall had broken in and left a threatening note. She had chased us in the market and now in the park as well. I couldn't even return to work and ended up getting fired. I spoke emotionally, recalling the fear that had haunted me. Scott listened intently, taking notes, and apologized for the time it took to find Kendall. He reassured me that he had done everything possible to protect me and my son. He promised to hold Kendall legally accountable for her actions. Kendall was taken to the interrogation room, and I found myself staring at her, wanting answers. "Why did you do this? And why did Ethan treat me and my son this way?" I asked, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible, but my heart raced with anger and confusion. Kendall smirked, a cold smile spreading across her face as she replied. "We wanted to crush you, Erica. You were a threat to Ethan's plans. He never loved you, and we needed to take everything from you. Jackson was part of that problem, so we considered getting rid of him too." Kendall's contempt was palpable, each word dripping with disdain. As emotions surged within me, I pushed down the rising tide of rage and sorrow, determined to hold my ground. "Why didn't you just leave me alone? Why did you lock Jackson in that house?" I felt anger bubbling inside me as I asked. Kendall smirked at me, a chilling, cruel smile on her face as she replied. "Jackson was just a tool. Ethan knew that losing your son would break you. We wanted to emotionally destroy you, to make sure you could never recover." Her words dripped with disdain, showing no hint of remorse. I took a deep breath, trying to hold back tears, and pressed on. "Were you with him all this time, even while he was with me?" I already knew the answer, but I couldn't help but seek confirmation. This time, Kendall laughed derisively as she spoke. "Yes, Erica. I was always with him. He never truly loved you. You were just an obstacle to eliminate, to break apart a loveless marriage and build a new future. Her words struck my heart like a sharp blade, piercing through layers of pain. I felt the anger and sadness surging within me. Get this woman away from me. I never want to see her again. I shouted at Scott, my voice trembling with emotion. He nodded, his expression serious. Kendall, you are being charged with kidnapping, conspiracy, and attempted murder. A long sentence awaits you. I assure you that justice will be served. With that, Kendall was led away by the officers, leaving me with a bitter mix of relief and sorrow. Her arrest opened the door to new challenges for Jackson and me, the most pressing being financial struggles. How are we going to live? Jackson, I've lost my job and our income. I fought desperately to hold it together in front of my son, trying not to crumble under the weight of it all. It's going to be okay, Mom. You always said we're strong. As long as we're together, we'll make it. Jackson's words were filled with courage, trying to comfort me in my time of need. It felt hopeless at times, but then our story was featured in the local newspaper, capturing the hearts of the community. Soon, we started receiving essential supplies, clothing, and other forms of support. Erica, we're here for you. You're not alone, the letters said, accompanied by boxes of food from our neighbors. I don't even know how to thank everyone. They're literally saving our lives. I spoke at a welcome gathering hosted by the community, unable to contain my gratitude. The support from those around us provided a sliver of peace amid the chaos, and Jackson and I took our first steps toward rebuilding our lives. It was during this time that Officer Scott came to visit me, bringing news that would change everything. Erica, you have an incredible strength and determination. I really respect that about you. Have you ever thought about becoming a police officer? I had never considered it before, but maybe it was a good idea. I've never thought about that before, but it could be a great idea. I want to ensure Jackson's safety and help others, too. Scott smiled encouragingly and offered to help me prepare for the police exam. Let's start training, Erica. You have the makings of a great police officer. I felt a rush of gratitude as I accepted his offer. Thank you, Scott. I'll do it. I want to make a difference, not just for myself and Jackson, but for other families, too. The training days were tough, but I never gave up. You're doing really well, Erica. If you keep this up, you'll pass the exam with flying colors. Scott's encouragement fueled my determination. Sweat dripped down my brow as I continued training and studying. Jackson was cheering me on, too. Mom, you're amazing. I know you're going to succeed. His pride shone in his eyes, and it made my heart swell with strength. With Jackson and Scott supporting me, I felt empowered. The hope of a new career pushed me forward. Little by little, our lives were starting to return to normal. Though challenges remained, the threats from Kendall and Ethan had faded away. Mom, I don't have nightmares anymore. I finally feel safe. As we walked through the park, Jackson said that, and it lifted a weight off my heart. For the first time in a long while, I felt lighter, and a smile spread across my face. That's wonderful, my dear. Let's keep moving forward, one step at a time. I replied, filled with hope. Finally, the day of the police exam arrived. I was nervous, but I felt ready. You've trained so hard, Erica. You're going to do great. Scott said that to try and calm my nerves, and I held on to his words like a lifeline. Thank you, Scott. I honestly didn't know what I would have done without your support. I replied with a grateful smile. The exam was long and tough, but I poured every ounce of effort into it, driven by a fierce determination to make a difference. Erica, you passed. Congratulations, Scott announced with a broad grin. I could hardly believe it. I did it, Scott. I passed, I exclaimed, overwhelmed with emotion. Absolutely, you did. You are going to be a fantastic police officer, he said with pride in his voice. I felt a wave of joy and achievement wash over me. I officially became a police officer, I thought, gripping Jackson's hand as I said, I did it, my dear. Our future starts now. Tears welled up in my eyes as I spoke, and together, Jackson and I began a new journey filled with hope and possibilities.
During that time, Ethan and Kendall were locked away in separate cells in prison, but they could still shout at each other. The anger and stress were palpable. This is all your fault, Ethan. If you had just been more careful, we wouldn't be in this mess. Your only job was to keep the kids at home, and you couldn't even do that. You're as useless as your ex-wife. Kendall screamed with a voice full of hatred. Shut up, Kendall. You're no better. Your ridiculous plan got us both sent here. I should have stayed with Erica. She would never have told me to abandon my kids, and she wouldn't have left me behind at the first chance. Ethan couldn't hold back his anger as he shot back. Both of them felt the weight of their actions crashing down on them in despair. This is a complete failure, Ethan muttered, while Kendall clenched his fists in rage.
I had become stronger, with a new perspective on life. I had made the decision to participate in supporting victims suffering from domestic violence and toxic relationships. I remember telling Scott, I wanted to turn my pain into power, to help those who had gone through similar experiences. Scott was impressed by my strength and offered all the support I would need. He said, Erica, you're going to be an inspiration for many. I'm here for you, I'll help you with anything. With Scott by my side, I began working on a program to support victims of domestic violence. We organized support groups and meetings, helping other women find the strength to overcome their struggles. I would share with them, you're not alone. I know how hard it is, but together we can find a way. As I spoke, I felt an inner conflict, my own pain battling the hope I wanted to share. My bond with Jackson grew stronger as we supported each other, finding comfort and strength in our unconditional love. He looked at me with admiration and said, Mom, I'm really proud of you. You're helping so many people. I replied, tears of joy filling my eyes, I'm proud of you too, my dear. Your courage inspires me every day. While Ethan and Kendall were tormented by anger and regret in prison, I was growing immensely in my new life. By helping other victims of domestic violence, I turned my pain into power and devoted myself to support and prevention activities. I felt passionately about making a difference in the lives of other victims. Working alongside Scott, I hosted educational programs and events that provided emotional and legal support. During one event, I spoke in detail about my experiences, moving the participants deeply. I reassured them, there will be moments of despair. But you can start a new life. You are not alone. Together, we can overcome every obstacle. I stated with conviction, and I saw a glimmer of hope in their eyes. The connection I felt with these women gave me a sense of fulfillment and purpose I had never known before. I thought to myself, we can heal and grow stronger. Feeling the collective strength of the group, my bond with Jackson also deepened, as we found strength in each other's support. Jackson looked at me and said, Mom, you're truly amazing. You're helping so many people. I miss Dad, but I think he has to spend a long time in prison to learn how to truly care for people. It would be a waste to trade you for anyone else as wonderful as you. His words filled me with warmth and determination, and I knew that together, we would continue to find hope in the journey ahead. I felt tears welling up as I spoke to my son. I'm so proud of you, my dear. Your courage inspires me every single day. In those moments when I wasn't working or helping other victims, I cherished my time with Jackson. We played in the park, our laughter echoing in the air, filling those moments with joy. "Mom, do you think everything will be okay from now on?" Jackson asked, his voice filled with hope. "Yes, my sweet child," I replied, letting a confident smile spread across my face. "We've faced so many difficulties, but now we're stronger. Together, we're going to build a happy new life." Our lives gradually started to return to a sense of normalcy. Nights that once felt haunted by nightmares were now peaceful. Jackson began to laugh and play like the carefree child he was meant to be. "Mom, I can finally feel happy again," he said as he hugged me tightly. Those words were the greatest gift I could ever receive. "Yes, my dear, we made it together," I thought, wrapped in gratitude. Our story became a powerful testament to hope and resilience. I had protected my son and transformed my pain into strength, proving the power of unconditional love. No matter how rugged the path, a mother's love for her son would never waver. "If we're together, we are unstoppable," I reflected, watching Jackson play joyfully in the park. Finally freed from the shadows of our past, Jackson and I began to build a new life, filled with hope and possibilities. With the support of our community and new friends, the courage and love we shared became a solid foundation for our future. No matter how dark the situation, there was always a glimmer of hope illuminating our way.
If you enjoyed this story, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to bring you more inspiring stories, and to do so more frequently with higher quality. We look forward to sharing another amazing story with you next time. Thank you for your support, and until next time.